Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for September 3rd, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 247. I am Mayor Watt, and that is the visualizer and voice for the sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, hometown citizens. Welcome to Non Sequitur News.
And today we're going to be talking about Never Before Steam by anyone. Get it? Cops are towing Teslas. Clear view AI find for database. Where there is smoke, well, there's a lot more. Charged, ironically, per mile. Seeking Mike Lynch's estate. That is a ton. No, I'm sorry. It's half a ton of olives. Tripled tourism fee to New Zealand. The backward rifle scope. Didn't see that one coming. And teacherless GCSE AI and VR learning. Acronym bingo. That and more. Alrighty, folks. Let's get right on into this. If you miss this and you catch the show just a little snippet of it, and you're like, oh well, the show's over, or you've heard of it, you can actually catch past live streams that are 14 or 20 hours long, depending on when I've put everything together. You can basically catch up on a week by just letting it play in the background, and you'll get 70 news articles from Non Sequitur News alone, and then you'll get another 70 or another 60. Sorry, it's another 60 every weekend. So I mean, we kind of put out a lot of content there for you. And if you don't want to watch it all in a 14-hour stint, then you can just go over to each of our playlists on YouTube. Download the podcast if you want to take it with you. There's also the Discord and the Patreon. Yeah, we're a little bit everywhere. So let me pause something real quick. All right, folks. Let's get going. We've got all of the articles all lined up. First article's over in the Warcrafters channel. Something just happened on Steam that's never happened before, and I don't even know what it is, but for the first time in Steam's history, more people are playing games using simplified Chinese than English on the platform.
That's interesting to me. I didn't even know it really had a following among non-English speaking people.
Yeah, I find that pretty fascinating, considering, there's usually how do
Almost
I want to phrase this?
I want to say like a IT restrictions or something.
Well, there's a control that's in place that only certain things are allowed within the perimeter of China. And so not everything is allowed in, right? So there's a version of Google that's actually Google. And others, right? TikTok isn't even allowed in China, but it's a Chinese company in the United States that, the U.S. is trying to ban. So I found it really interesting right out of the gate, that something has happened. Gabriel Machado Pereza put this article together. It might be Mikado. I'm not sure how they pronounce their middle name, but anyway. Yeah, released in 2003, Steam is the largest PC gaming platform in the world, and it's widely used in most countries, including China now. Steam has long and tumultuous history in China. While the PC gaming platform has been popular in the country for several years, it was previously struggled with China's strict regulations for the gaming industry, which led to Steam being banned in China in 2021. So yeah, like I said, we normally have some tidbit of information that we've known for a little while. So while we may not be subject matter experts in everything that we talk about, usually we have a little bit of context that we can add to it. So you can actually, they say here, either they can use Steam China, which is a version of it, which is legal, but does not have a wide variety of games, or they can access international versions of the service using a VPN, at least until somebody finds out about the VPN, and if it isn't registered, then they'll shut it down. It's not legal. I don't believe it's legal to have a VPN, but don't hold me to that. I thought I had been told that, but
well, you're not an attorney, and you're not an attorney in China.
I'm definitely not an attorney in China, and I'm definitely not an attorney. And even if I was an attorney, I'm not your attorney, so go talk to an attorney. But it says now gamers have spotted that there are more people on Steam using Chinese than English as their language, a first in the history of the gaming platform. According to data taken from Steam, 35.03% of all gamers use simplified Chinese, while 31.17% use English. And then it's followed by Russian.
This was really surprising to me because it seemed like it was stealth, right?
Yeah.
We didn't even know it was really happening, and then all of a sudden they're breaking records.
Yeah, there's a couple of other things that I found really fascinating. There's a game that was released called Concord that somebody spent, or the company spent 7 years building. I think it's 7 years 6 or 7 years that they built this game over that time frame. And in the last 24 hours, it had a user base of 26 people playing it.
Well, it's shutting down.
And now it's shutting down. Yeah. And then on the flip side of that is Valve's, aka Steam's, Deadlock, which hasn't been announced. But if you are in it, or you know somebody who's in it, you have basically an invite button where you can just mash it and send off an invite to anybody with an email. It's a MOBA, so I'm not really all that interested in it. But what's funny about this is there are currently over 130,000 people playing it. In the middle of the day today, I was in a meeting and there were 135,000 people playing it.
Wow.
It hasn't been it's like the worst kept secret because everybody knows about it, but not everybody's allowed to report on it. Nobody's allowed to report on it. And one company was actually banned because they reported on it. They broke this soft embargo.
Right.
Basically saying, well, you didn't have us sign an NDA, so we talked about it. Yeah. So it would have been bigger, I think, if nobody had talked about it. Like stealthily expanding. Anyway, so I found it really interesting. And I think, like this game, I think is intimating, is Black Myth Wukong affecting these numbers would not be surprising. Developed by a Chinese game studio called Game Science, Black Myth Wukong sold over 10 million units in only 3 days, becoming the biggest game release of 2024. Amazing graphics, great story. It all is centered around Chinese mythology. I think it has a great story, but
do you think that game is singly responsible for this?
I would not be surprised. During the release, Steam traffic increased 50%.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's pretty amazing. I need to stop something. All right. Let me get out of that and that. Okay, sorry, folks. All right, let's keep going, though. The next article is over in Four Wheel Tech. Cops are now towing Teslas for evidence at crime scenes. The section is the morning shift, and it's over at Jalopnik. The article is by Owen Bellwood. And if you've ever walked around a Tesla, through it, near it, around it, it's recorded you. So.
Oh, I see. So it's like a mobile surveillance cam.
Yep. So if you're the proud owner of a Tesla, you might think the biggest thing you have to worry about is either that your car's battery going flat, body panels flying off, or God forbid, water sparking a fire on board. This is like the trifecta. Jeez. How did this thing ever get onto the road? And you know what? And before I finish my sentence, if you hit !NSN, Omatron will throw all of the articles that we're talking about into the chat. If you want all of the podcasts, you can hit pod, !pod, sorry. and that will throw all of the podcasts. And we have 7 total, including the daily one, which is non sequitur news. And if you want all of the show notes syntax so that you can pull the show notes from the last episode of all of our podcasts, each one has its own syntax. So like the current fan favorite on the network is the continuity report. Like people are just kind of swarming over to it. And, swarming is subjective. For us, swarming is taking place. Anyway, you can hit !TCR, the continuity report, and that'll pull the show notes out of Umatron, our non-sentient AI. Yeah. When you talk to Omatron, is it like talking to the digital genetic wobble?
That's one way to put it. It's like we can't communicate very well.
Yeah, I can imagine. If you've ever seen the movie, well, I was going to say Poor Things, but you have to really watch Poor Things. I mean, that movie, by the way, I recommended to somebody because I ended up watching it in little fits and starts. It actually is a pretty cool movie if you can get past all of the lewd behavior. But anyway, back to Tesla's in Sentry mode. So the car basically can be put in Sentry mode, and it says law enforcement have been towing vehicles from crime scenes that were placed in Sentry mode, which sets the car's onboard cameras on and captures everything that goes on outside the vehicle. And so they report about this. It's a quote, but where is it coming from?
So they're towing presumably somebody else's car that wasn't involved.
Correct. Yep. In another instance, what they write about in this little section, it's a quote from somewhere. A San Francisco Chronicle reports that the Oakland police sought to tow at least 3 Teslas in July and August, showing that this is now part of their established tactics. So the police usually ask for the driver's permission, the owner's permission, to access the Tesla Sentry mode backup USB drive, which is located in the glove box, and download desired content. However, the owners can't be located. The officers obtain search warrants and tow the EVs into evidence. How dystopian bullshit is that?
This is really... If I saw this in a movie, I would think it was so outlandish.
Yeah.
But not now.
Well, I mean, the police used to be connecting into Ring cameras.
That's true. I mean, this is very similar.
Yep. So, luckily, that's not what takes place around ohmTown. There's surveillance, but it's in a compartmented cloud. So no.
They're not towing your Tesla away.
Yeah, they're not towing ohmTown away, and the police can't get remote access to the cameras. All of that is just really creepy, because you never know. Look, y'all out there might think, oh, well, nobody's going to do that. Come on. But there are stories out there, reports of FBI and police and pretty much anybody with authority to access these privileged positions or situations, access these resources, and they do it. They stalk their exes. They see somebody cute in their car while they're driving, and they use their police access to pull up their address and formulate a way so that they can insinuate themselves into somebody's world, right? Accidentally bump into them somewhere or whatever. This has actually happened. So it's just so damn creepy. In this, though, you're taking somebody's vehicle because you can't get access to it in a timely manner.
Because they had the misfortune of being parked near somebody who did something wrong.
Yeah, and owning a Tesla. So 2 things that they're... Moving on. Next article's over in Non Sequitur News. Clearview AI fined $33.7 million by data protection watchdog over illegal database. The Dutch data protection watchdog has issued facial recognition startup Clearview AI a fine of 30.5 million euros or $33.7 million over the creation of what the agency has called an illegal database of billions of photos of faces. Yeah.
I'm not sure what Clearview is used for. Is it one of these general AI databases or?
Yeah, provides services, that kind of a thing. So it's got an illegal database of billions of photos of people's faces. Mike Corder from Associated Press put the article together, but it's posted over at abcnews.go.com. The Netherlands Data Protection Agency, or DPA, has also warned Dutch companies that are using Clearview services are also banned because it's an illegal. Basically, it says the data agency said that the New York-based Clearview has not objected to this decision and is therefore unable to appeal against the fine. But in a statement,
This is very interesting.
They basically just said no. We're not from the Netherlands, so your Dutch companies using our services may be in violation, but we are not bound by ... And this sets up a hostile relationship. But Clearview is obviously getting paid enough that they don't give a crap about what's going on in the Netherlands. So the Dutch agency said that the building of the database and insufficiently informing people whose images appear in the database amounted to serious breaches of the GDPR. And that is the European Union's General Data Protection Regulation. And this is what the US
thanks to
needs.
The EU for protecting anybody's data.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all part of the right to be forgotten and privacy rights. But I'm actually surprised that I saw a domestic position available for someone who's supposed to specialize in privacy. And so I'm really curious if something might be in the works. Everything that I've seen so far, though, the US is no. Corporations basically dictate what, Senate does. And so facial recognition is a highly intrusive technology that you cannot simply unleash on anyone in the world. I didn't agree, but apparently if you're just out and about, then you can use my face anywhere that you catch it. Right? So even here.
Is that where you catch pods or somewhere else?
Yeah, you can catch a lot of stuff nowadays just walking around. So if there's a photo on the internet of you that doesn't that apply to all of us, then you can end up in the database of Clearview and be tracked. This is not a doom scenario from a scary film, nor is it anything or something that could only be done in China. DPA said that if Clearview doesn't halt the breaches of the regulation, it faces non-compliance penalties of up to 5.1 million euros or 5.6 million US dollars on top of the fine. Mulcair said that in a statement that Clearview doesn't fall under EU data protection regulations, but doing business in the EU means you have to...
I agree. They're not going to get very far with that point.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that their non-EU products can have that, depending on what those laws are.
Right. And anybody the products that use Clearview are in violation of GDPR as well. And the companies are therefore in violation. And it's fruit of the poisonous tree, so to speak. So in June, Clearview reached a settlement in an Illinois lawsuit alleging massive photographic collection of faces violated the subject's privacy rights, a deal that attorneys estimate would or could be worth more than $50 million. Clearview didn't admit any liability as part of the settlement agreement, which is the reason why I think Citizens United should be brought out to the town square and summarily dismissed. Why? Because companies cannot be held accountable except fiscally, which basically means that the managers in the company, the directors, are the ones that are steering the company, and they can't be held collectively, unless there's something criminal, the liability has to pierce a veil. They're operating fiduciarily to the benefit of all of the investors in the company. So they're not held accountable. They might get slapped on their hand and told don't do it, but it takes basically, bringing the moon down to earth before anything changes the dynamic of holding a company accountable. It has to entirely collapse. But I think that we need something like GDPR to protect users from this kind of abuse. Because you don't know what is going on. You, the citizens of the world, the citizens of the United States in particular, citizens in the EU in this instance, you've no idea what's going on with your data.
What about Citizens United?
Yeah, okay. You're fired. What is going on? Okay.
No, this is... I don't know. This seems like it's layers of issues too, right? Sure. It's like Clearview's access to the data, Clearview's posting or manipulation of the data. I don't know. Yeah. This might be an interesting one to watch.
Yeah. And you have no idea what's going on with your data because it's a black box. It's on the other side of whatever it is they're aggregating into. And like I always say, see, I don't like editing my video, my stream. I don't like manipulating stuff because I want transparency. I don't want anybody to ever sit there and say, oh, well, you deleted this little segment. The only time I've ever deleted something is when it might dox somebody or when I'm legally liable for something, like a song is playing and it's been flagged. And then I chop that piece out. I'm looking at you, Netflix. Well, anyway, they're doing stuff and you've no idea what's going on. It's creepy. Okay, we got to keep moving. Next article, moving on. Next article's over in Non Sequitur News. After an Airbus A350 U-turn due to engine problems, an airline found 15 more jets with the same issue. The Cathay, Pacific Airbus A350 U-turned on Monday due to engine component failure, and after inspections, the airline found that 15 jets needed components replaced. Rolls-Royce, the engine manufacturer, said it would keep the other airlines informed of developments. So it canceled 24 flights after discovering the Rolls-Royce engines on over a dozen Airbus A350 jets had the same mechanical failure in progress, apparently. Pete Sim over at BusinessInsider.com put the article together. Sorry, we got sidetracked by the music. So, yeah, I don't know what else really to say about this thing. They did a U-turn, they did an analysis, they found 15 more planes with the same engine components that needed to be replaced.
Out of 48. I mean, 15 is still 15 planes that have a mechanical issue. But 15 out of 48 is a little concerning.
Yeah, a little. 30% of the planes need...
And if they didn't have this problem, they wouldn't have identified it. That's the other thing.
Yeah. But I'm glad that they actually got it. Rolls-Royce share price dropped as much as 5.7% on Monday, but rebounded about 4% when the London Stock Exchange opened on Tuesday morning. So at least they're getting behind it. They're going to resolve it and they're going to inform the rest, right? Let's just hope that they do it before an engine fails while in flight. But what are they going to do with these other planes? There's 16 of them that there's a known issue, so they have to double up occupancy on the flights.
Right, and then why would only a subset of these have this problem? Because presumably they're manufacturing them in the same way and maintaining them in the same way.
Yeah, we know that door bolts don't get installed when one person at Boeing
goes on vacation.
Yeah, so maybe, whatever this part is, 100 of them got by when somebody swapped out their glasses. Who knows?
That'd be interesting to find out if there's something similar.
Yeah, it's just they identified an engine component failure. Yeah, as long as they resolve it. But hey, guess what? Congratulations, Cathay Pacific Airlines stockholders. You'll be able to benefit from the increase in ticket prices because of this human-induced artificial scarcity. Let's move on. Moving on. The next article is over on the Hatch Ideas channel. UK electric car drivers should be charged per mile, says campaigners. Campaigners have called on the Chancellor to introduce a controversial pay-per-mile road charging scheme on electric cars, warning of a $5 billion pound black hole in tax revenues from motoring.
So, is this penalizing the people that aren't polluting? Is that
Correct.
what's going on here?
Yeah, it's because their fuel is no longer being used. Yeah, and this is really funny because people I've known for 40 years that were really involved in like peak oil mantra, like we're at peak oil and that's and it's the end of the petroleum dollar and all of this kind of stuff. But they've been saying that refrain for 30 years, 30 plus years.
Maybe more than 30 miles.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not just one person that's been saying this, but they and others have warned, as we move away from oil, the petroleum dollar is going to become scarce, and it's going to something's going to have to take over that taxation that's lost, that churn of revenue that keeps a ton of money invested for the country somewhere. And when nobody's buying gas because enough people pivot to electric, where's the revenue coming from? You can't charge the sun, right? You can't tax people.
We haven't figured out how to do that yet.
We're going to get to the point where we're charging people because they own an electric vehicle. They're going to make it so that it's just as costly as a
Doesn't this
ice.
Remind you of the nighttime solar thing?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Hey, you need more power on your house, and your house has solar? Well, you can rent a satellite that will point the sun at your house in the dark. Now, it'll cascade over 4 miles radius, but don't worry. Everybody else
None
will
of your
be...
neighbors will get any sleep, and they'll think something is happening, like an alien invasion, depending on the level of the light.
Yeah, it can't be a soft glow either, right? It has to be bright enough to charge your solar. So Rachel Reeves should reform vehicle taxes to fill a $5 billion black hole, says Campaign for Better Transport. Yeah, screw these cars in particular. Gwen Topham, transport correspondent for TheGuardian.com, put this article together.
Isn't one of the biggest issues with EV adoption is hesitancy from the public?
Yeah.
I mean, it's typically for other reasons, but this isn't going to motivate people to switch over to EVs.
Yeah, the general thing is insecurity about electric vehicles, from range anxiety to reliability to the recovery of costs, because when you go to sell it, people are going to start pricing in, if they're not already, the price of the replacement battery. In fact, there used to be a time with personal electronics that people wanted to see what the number of cycles were. With digital cameras, it is still like that. People want to know how many shots you've taken, because the frame can only handle so many charges. And so if you're a professional photographer and you're taking thousands upon thousands of pictures, people go, I'm not really hip to buying your camera. Well, it said the charity said that it was an urgent issue as tax revenues were forecast to fall by £5 billion between 2028 and 2033, and the public agreed that all vehicles should pay a fair share. Okay, that's fine. Everybody pay the fair share. I think that people who use more should pay more, but that's me.
Right. I know that's another discussion, but I mean, that's might be why some places have taxes on non-car and road items so that it kind of gets to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, see,
like a sales tax or a property tax or whatever.
Yeah, and I think like commercial vehicles should have a higher tax and all of that kind of stuff, because it's people will argue, and they have argued with me about the fact that heavier vehicles do more wear and tear, and physics wise, yes, but road wise, unless there is a improperly built road or it wasn't designed for commercial vehicles at all, like some, rural road that doesn't have enough substrate underneath it to support a tractor trailer.
Oh, right. And also, just the heavy weight of EVs in general.
Yep. And so the heavy weight of EVs have been called into question about that taxing, because they do more wear and tear to the road. Now, depending on which side of the fence you fall, it's been poo-pooed. Like, no, that's not how it works. But if you've ever seen a road where commercial vehicles have been driving on it and it hasn't been maintained, you can see the ruts where a heavy vehicle basically does wagon wheels, right? It makes a groove on either side of a hump, and that's because heavy vehicles keep driving through it and the road was not designed for it. They refer to something here called fuel duty, where it's 53p a liter for petrol and diesel vehicles. Zero emission vehicles will also pay vehicle tax for the first time in 2025. Now, they pay more per liter and they have a higher tax per liter than we do per gallon because there's more liters in a gallon. But what's interesting is a lot of people are like, oh my God, the government taxing gas, blah, blah, blah. It is a fraction of what the state and local taxes are on fuel. So if you're pissed off about something, be pissed off about the profiteering company that put that gas in the tank and the local and state governments. But federal is nothing compared to the profiteering side. But all of the tax, the federal, the state, and local taxes that take a chunk out of that fuel cost, that's going to facilitate education, police, fire, roads themselves, water.
Right. Everybody's going to benefit.
Yeah,
but everybody likes to grumble about taxes and surcharges.
So not to put too fine a point on it, but all you antisocial, sociopathic people out there that say, don't take my tax dollars, the reason why you have the safety and security you enjoy, and you do, is because of the taxes that are going to all of these other things. If you want to be pissed, it's corporate profiteering, Anyway, moving on. Next article is over in Technology Today. HP is seeking up to $4 billion from Mike Lynch's estate. British tech billionaire Mike Lynch died in August after the yacht he was on capsized off the coast of Sicily. Yet Hewlett-Packard is continuing its UK lawsuit, seeking up to $4 billion in damages.
Can't think of a single time where this has happened. I know estates have been embroiled in litigation, but this is kind of interesting where the person dies and they're like, nope, we're pursuing it with the estate. And it's a sizable amount.
This is insane. So the person isn't even alive to defend themselves, but it says Lynch and HP have been at odds. So when did they die? In August. Okay.
This was from the recent yacht that capsized in the tornado.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, I didn't realize that it was okay. So they were the CEO, the builder of autonomy, and it was sold to HP for $11 billion in 2011. 1 year later, a new management team at HP valued the company at only $8.8 billion and accused Lynch of inflating the value. But if they cook the books, that's criminal.
Right, but how are you going to pursue something criminal if the person isn't there, but then maybe it's civil?
So HP is seeking $4 billion from Mike Lynch's estate. It follows a successful UK lawsuit in 2022. Sarah Fielding put the article together. So British tech
I
billionaire
have to
Mike...
say, this looks pretty bad since this was about a week ago that he died.
And they're
Doesn't
still going.
mean they're not doing it, but yeah.
Yeah. In June, a U.S. jury found Lynch not guilty on all 15 counts of fraud, but they're going after the estate. So who is in charge of the estate now? Right? So are they going after the mom and kids?
Maybe.
I mean, there were
But
other stakeholders.
If they sold the company for $11 billion, I'm assuming the estate is pretty. Oh well, and I forgot one of his family members died in the same accident.
Dear God. But we're talking about $4 billion here. It's not $40,000. It's $4 billion. 15 other passengers were rescued, including Lynch's wife, Angela Baccares? Or Baccares? I don't know. So it was a celebration of Lynch's recent acquittal, with a mix of loved ones and business associates joining him on board. Wow. So the amount paid out to HP should be decided soon, though the judge stated in his initial ruling that the damages would likely be substantially less than is claimed. But they won in the UK, not in the United States, which has a different level of requirement. I mean, that's how, his name?
That's true. It's a different threshold.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Johnny Depp, I think.
Yeah, Johnny Depp lost in the UK because there was a judge that found in favor of the complainant. But like when a US law experts looked at it, they were like, hell no. But anyway, so did they actually find Lynch? Here's the kicker.
They've found everybody at this point.
Okay. Because wouldn't that
interestingly,
be... Go ahead.
Well, along those lines, his business partner was recently...
What?
Deceased before the yacht accident, like a week before. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff going on here.
What? Okay, that is wild. Okay, folks, look, NaNoWriMo's right around the corner, and it's embroiled in its own accusations. So, anyway, tie it all together, folks. Just make a day of it. Remember, it's not about the destination. It's about the journey. Moving on. Next article's over in Hatch Ideas. Thieves tried to steal almost half a ton of olives as harvest begins in Spain. Police in southern Spain have thwarted the theft of almost half a ton of olives. So just say 1,000 pounds as the country's harvest season begins. Yeah. I don't know.
But did you see what they were doing? Collecting olives in flagrante.
What? Really?
That's what it says up at the top.
Police find group collecting olives in flagrante?
I'm not sure it has the same translation. But...
Hold on. Oh, because I think that flagrante is...
There's probably a broader meaning.
Yeah, because in flagrante delicto is like
Oh, okay.
nude. But I guess like flagrantly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, like flaunting the law or something.
Yeah. Like not caring. Yeah. With lucrative fruit, a tempting target for criminals. Yeah. It would have been awesome if they were in flagrante delicto, which, yeah, means naked. In the nude, I believe it means.
I mean,
in the
that
nude.
might be dangerous. I don't know what's involved in olive harvesting.
Oh no. There's a in flagrante delicta actually means like having sex. But it's a euphemism. And sometimes it's just in flagrante.
No idea.
All right.
I don't know what was happening here.
Well, someone was getting something without permission. So, anyway, in Verdeo, or collecting of the green olives, takes place in the early autumn and marks the beginning of the harvest season. And as it got underway in Seville province this week, officers from Spain's Guardia Civil Force prevented. What is that number?
Oh my.
Wow. The
I think
AI
you should
really.
try to say it.
Oh, 70 thirst, 2 pounds. I don't know what they're doing there. That's a hell of a typo. Anyway, let's go to those. Like, this is supposed to be the freedom units. And I guess, what do you call this? The socialists?
Metric?
Oh, metric. I'm sorry. Anyway, it's 465. This is the more accurate number. And this is the, let's throw something at the wall and see if it sticks number. Anyway, 465 kilograms of olives from being stolen near a town of Albeda del Aljarafe? Aljarafe? Interesting.
It's probably with an H sound, but I've been burned by that before.
Aljarafe. I think. Okay, so thanks for catching that, considering it's Spain. George.
Oh, you got that reference?
Yeah. Well, the officers found 7 people collecting olives in flagrante, according to a statement from the force, and arrested a woman who claimed to have been paid to hire and oversee a team of 6 pickers.
Interesting. Do you think
so
they
many
actually did
jokes.
interviews for this?
6 pickers and 1 girl, is that it? Anyway, that'll make sense if you've ever been around the internet for more than 5 minutes. If you're new to the internet, then you wouldn't get that. But anyway, police also found fake cargo documents that would have allowed the stolen olives to be sold using false claims about the origin and traceability. So thanks to the swift intervention, the thief of 465 kilograms of manzanilla olives that had already been collected and loaded on vehicles was prevented, the statement said, adding that the fruits had been returned to their rightful owner. So, yeah, I guess 48 people have already been arrested for stealing olives.
I mean,
you still have to do something. Right? You have to do something with the olives.
Well, the season just opened too, so I guess they were ready to go.
371 people have been investigated. They've recovered over 213,489 kilograms of olives over the course of the season so far. 2023-2024 season. Wow. Folks, come on. Keep your hands off other people's olives. Moving on. Next, man, you know what I just about said? Next olive.
Oh.
Instead of article. Yeah.
That's funny.
So the next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Visiting New Zealand just got more expensive as the country triples its tourism fee. New Zealand will triple its entry fees for foreign tourists Starting in October, it will now cost $62. So keeping all you poors out. Yep. Though Australians and some Pacific Islanders are exempt, the fee increase seeks to address tourism and conservation challenges from rising visitor numbers. Yep. All you smelly pores coming to New Zealand. You got to keep them out.
Do
Only
you
have
think
$50.
the country has like a marketing campaign like come to New Zealand, and then they're like, oh shoot, people came to New Zealand?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. Come, but then it's like everything else, right? We'll promote, and that'll drive the price up because of artificial scarcity caused by you promoting something and providing something positive. And then when it gets too much, they kill the game, you know? I mean, it's the exact same thing, except now it's humans. And somebody with $50 that wants to go to New Zealand can't get in because it's $62. And all it is classist. It's stopping somebody from going and seeing the beautiful country of New Zealand.
Right.
So I'll give $12 to anybody that has. So New Zealand government announced on Tuesday that it'll triple the fees to keep the poors out. Oh, I'm sorry. No. It says foreign tourists starting in October. So trick or treat. I guess you're getting a trick. And I don't know what's going on.
Well, the critters have gotten wound up, but I also think it's interesting because somebody could have been there, 10 times, and they're arguably impacting the country, but they didn't pay a fee. And now somebody who's never been there is going to pay, or not,
it was $20
fee, I should say. Yeah.
So Joshua Nelkin Zitzer put this article together for businessinsider.com. My God, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, Australian citizens, people from certain Pacific Island nations, and those transiting through New Zealand are exempt from the fee. The IVL has been used to fund various tourism and conservation initiatives, including pest controls. So keeping the pores out, right? Biodiversity
I'm not sure
investments.
that's what that means. But
Oh, really? I'm sorry. I get that all mixed up sometimes. It's maybe it's because I'm enjoying a fine hard apple cider that I brewed in my iGulu. Yeah. Never heard of that, folks? Oh. Stick around. Yeah. Mayor Watt will start talking about it more. Anyway, a consultation held in June on proposed changes. Oh, you want to see? Oh, anyway, moving on. So, no. So they found that 88% of submitters agreed that the current level of IVL revenue, about $50 million, was insufficient to address issues facing tourism and conservation. So they jacked the price up. So now they're going to be raking in $150 million, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Although, surprise may be on them because people may choose not to travel with this.
They're actually expected to generate $229 million from that increased amount, according to the Ministry
Interesting.
of...
They must have a huge projection for an increase in tourism, right?
Well, apparently it's not going to negatively impact the tourism, while they're saying that tourism is negatively impacting their communities through increased litter, difficulty finding parking, and heavier traffic. Yeah, but you're making money. It is the reason why you have tourism. Oh, we want tourism, but not that much. Keep the poor.
Well, right.
So
tourism brings in a lot of dollars to a lot of countries.
Yeah.
I don't know about New Zealand specifically, but...
Well, every country has been sitting... Well, every country. All of these very popular touristy countries are getting so many people that they're putting up walls so that people can't take pictures anymore because, See, my bigger problem here is if everybody was civil and didn't just swarm all of these places constantly. Find the beauty in some
Or
other
shoot
location
music
for once.
videos in remote areas.
Oh, and damage the actual nature that's protected and has signs, and oh my God. I don't know. I said this in the hallowed halls earlier today. I was at a meeting, and there were 200 people, and we were walking away, and somebody was just acted like a real tool. And I said, and I'm going to make a shirt of this so that it says, your convenience shouldn't be my inconvenience. And when you act like a main character like that, that's sociopathic. Okay. That isn't just got mine. You have a mental disorder. Anyway, moving on. This one I didn't see coming, and apparently neither did the commander of this destroyer. So U.S. Navy dismisses warship commander after photo of backward rifle scope. So this happened how long ago?
4 months, I guess. Oh, no. That's the
That
relief
happened
of
last
duty.
year, late last year.
It was a
right?
while ago. I'd actually forgotten about this story.
Cameron Yates has been relieved of duty 4 months after a social media post revealed a faux pas with a rifle scope. Shannon McDonough put this article together. It's over at newsweek.com. And this is kind of nutty, but it really should never have happened. Like, it had to have been a rushed picture, and they put this thing on the rail wrong. So users quickly noticed Commander Cameron Yates, actually. So wait, the little snippet had a typo in it, but the commander of the destroyer USS John S. McCain was relieved of duty after an image showing him firing a rifle with a scope mounted backward, and it was widely shared on social media. Everybody noticed it really quick. It actually made the rounds amongst people far and wide. I think one person sent me the picture and said, the Army teaches us how to mount it right, and like it was basically stab after stab. People were just taking jabs at this Navy officer and Navy in total. So he was in charge of the destroyer, providing protection for the San Diego-based aircraft carrier USS Theodore Roosevelt in the Middle East, and there was just this off-the-cuff picture taken, but he was actually
firing it. Part of the problem isn't just holding it right. It's the fact that he was firing it and it wasn't set up correctly. I mean, it'd be bad enough holding it in a photo, but I think the firing is probably what really caused concern.
Yeah, because
that means they're not following all their protocols. And
see, but was it really the problem? It says from engaging in practice gun shoots, conducting maintenance, testing fuel purity, and participating in sea and anchor details, the U.S. Navy is always ready to serve and protect, read the original post caption. It was a picture that was taken in April. So yeah, it was just 4 months ago. Holding the rifle backwards. So what they said here, it was he's temporarily replaced with Captain Allison Christie, Deputy Commodore of Destroyer Squadron 21, taking over command. But they don't say why, right? It doesn't seem like they say why. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry for the silence.
I don't think it does.
The document. So yeah, it just says, due to a loss of confidence in his ability to command the guided missile destroyer that's currently in the Gulf of Oman. Which is a
general reason to remove somebody. And we see that pretty frequently.
Gotcha.
But I mean, high visibility posting, the picture took off, there were safety issues. I mean, just all kinds of things. It probably kind of created a storm, and then it was negative publicity on top of it.
Yeah. That's it right there. I mean, it's nothing more than negative marketing, and you have to take the Navy seriously at all costs, which is true. I mean, it's not a game. It shouldn't be. But it seems like it took a long time for the blowback to matriculate. So I thought that you chuckle at yourself and move on, but maybe do something to demonstrate that you really do have the stones to, command a destroyer. And it was a stupid, silly mistake. And in all honesty, somebody should have caught it. Why was that scope sitting there?
Why didn't he catch it? Why didn't the photographer catch it? Why didn't anybody standing there next to him catch it? I mean, so many questions.
So they had a bunch of pictures, and it's more than one picture, and others have theirs in the... Oh, I hit the wrong button. All right. Well, anyway, let's move on. Our last article is over in Reality Hacker. This UK college controversially launches teacherless GCSE AI and VR learning courses. In a recent report by Sky News, David Game College, which sounds like video game high school. David Game
It does
College.
kind of sound like that, but maybe that's a standard name in London.
Yeah. In London, highlighted its recent success in leveraging VR and AI to create GCSE virtual courses that do not require human teachers. Now, I was watching other people talking about this earlier today, and they were kind of poo-pooing this. And I hate to break it to people, but you can take classes right now all over the place where there is no human involved. It's all on Rails. Is it taught by a human? Sort of. It's a video. VR and AI instructors, or literally a class on Rails. You do A and you pass section A and you get B unlocked, and you go all the way through the alphabet and you end up with a certificate, and you're evaluated based on you answering questions or doing a task or whatever, but it's all enumerated. But an instructor doesn't need to be present. A well-designed curriculum does. That's what's important.
That's right.
Now, what is important, though, is at some stage during this, humans need to interact with you, because there's more than just rote memorization and mashing the button like a monkey until you get it right. So there's other skills, soft skills, knowledge, skills, and abilities that translate from more than just the one class. So to be a truly holistic human being, you cannot learn everything in VR and AI. It just doesn't work that way. So I don't really have a problem with a class or two being on Rails, right? I will have a problem when children are being taught in VR by AI, because up until recently, I have been arguing for the last 20 years that you can't teach a human to be a human without a human.
Right. And I don't have a problem with a kid who has an element of VR or something in the learning, but they definitely need a teacher present and guiding the instruction, etc.
Right. 1 second. I'm just trying to pull something up that I was a big dummy about. Just want to see something. I'm trying to focus, but we'll see if I can get this done in time. So I don't really have a problem with this. It says that it's a college. The people that I was watching earlier today, somebody said that it was 14 and 15-year-olds, and that's not true. I just need to make sure that I didn't dox anybody. No, doesn't look like it. So, and that's not true. Apparently it's it's a college, right? So I suspect, unless they have an early college kind of thing, or a dual enrollment kind of thing, or some honors program in the high school, they're not taking college classes. So
I'm gonna look it up.
the article is over at xrtoday.com, and
It's ages 14 to 22 at that school.
oh wow, oh, at the school.
That may not be for this specific program, but yeah.
Yeah, so level 20. Let's see. Hold on. So what's the equivalent? Oh, see, I don't understand. It says 5 GCSE passes at grade C or higher is considered a rough equivalent of a high school diploma without honors or AP. But that doesn't really answer my question.
Yeah, I don't know.
What are the levels? Yeah, that's weird. Because it says 20 in here. Lessons to, oh, no,
Number of students.
Yeah, it's the number of students. It's not, that's wild. So the way that it was presented in the other discussion, they were saying that it was level 20, but that's not what it is.
Okay.
So it is a teacherless virtual lesson to 20 GCSE students in September. So they can be, I guess, at this college anywhere from 14 to 22. So who knows what age they actually are, and they don't actually spell it out here. But GCSE is anybody at that college. You know, there's different GCSE levels. Yeah, so pretty interesting. It says, however, the human factor is incredibly important in developing XR, mixed reality, cross reality, the virtual reality, all of it, augmented reality is all XR. In any use case, especially education and learning. So the outcomes at the David Game College, it's video game high school, may be interesting to observe in coming months. However, despite a lack of teachers, the report notes that 20 students will be assisted by learning coaches to assess the required behavior and support, with students even voicing support for the course. Well, of course. But there's going to be humans that are assisting in this. This is not a class entirely on rails, like it's intimating.
But so it's already getting reported that it is.
Right. Yeah. So we're correcting it. Granted, the college denies a cost-saving angle, implying that more staff is joining the team to support the VR move, as shown by the additional learning coaches. Additionally, the college notes that subjects like art and sex education are incompatible with AI VR learning. That shouldn't be, but okay. So the technology is not being pushed where it may not belong. And that is absolutely not true. There is nothing that you can't do with AI and VR. You just have to be skilled in the art to facilitate a curricula that supports the learning outcomes. I don't get this.
Yeah,
statement.
I think maybe the point of that is there might be some additional human instruction required in some subjects, but I don't think it means that. I mean, I know what the statement says, but I don't think that translates to you can't use AI or VR.
Well, they're intimating that it doesn't belong.
Right. I think that's too extreme.
Yeah, exactly. So they say, moreover, AI and VR can be great benefit to teachers who lack the time and energy to work with each student personally. Okay, that's fine. VR and AI can act like teaching assistants, but whoa. If your material is sufficient enough where a person can go through it again and again and again and learn more and more and more, and then get it right, answer the test or whatever, do the assignments properly, the teacher is not being burdened by anything other than a resubmission of the material. Here is where the school would be making money. Additional learning coaches are a fraction of the cost.
Exactly. It's not a one-for-one. If they lay off a teacher or something and
Right.
then put in a learning coach.
Yeah. A learning
Probably not the
coach.
same qualifications.
Correct. Yeah. A professor in a college is going to be making well, it depends where they are and what the level of the college is and the class overall and the perceived value, etc. They could be making anywhere from $80,000 all the way up to 200,000 plus, depending on the school again. So a learning coach, 35,000. Why? Because they could be a research assistant or a teaching assistant, and they're basically a marginalized class of human actor inside the school. Do this, other duties as assigned in perpetuity, all with the aspiration of becoming a professor and making enough inroads to get tenure later on, which in the US is a dying breed. But this, I actually love this idea. Let's exploit technology. We don't have to be in the classroom to learn, and professors, teachers definitely do not. And more to the point, where we do need to focus resources and give greater benefits and make it so it's more streamlined and more effective and raising non-sociopathic human beings is at the grade school level, not at the college level. By the time a student is hitting college, they should be so empowered to solve their own problems that it doesn't matter what is in front of them. They should be able to go and find the resources necessary to facilitate their own learning.
True, but is that really what happens in the current system?
No, not at all. No. Yeah. But there is going to be a time where AI is powerful enough to usurp the teaching lead. They're going to just suck the power out of the professor. And the only ones that are going to be protected are going to be the ones that have a lot of political might. Because when the AI can answer all of the questions at the PhD level, we're not going to need as many PhDs. We're not going to need as many professors. Teachers, on the other hand, I still argue internally with myself, that the only way to teach a human to be a human is with a human. But some of the new AI-powered synths, for lack of a better term, are they're becoming very powerful. So
yes, they are.
They have breath. They have microtells, they have little, it's pretty wild. We'll talk more about it though. Yeah, maybe we can grab some more articles over this next week that might favor towards, like this robotic for Reality Hacker, because that's one of our shows, Reality Hacker. It's only on the weekends though, so you have a little bit of time to prep yourself, citizens of ohmTown. Next weekend is going to be another Reality Hacker, but I do have mayoral duties this coming weekend, so we might have to turn the clock a little bit, but we'll talk about it. Anyway, that's it for today's Non Sequitur News. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me, AI, and all those who are in the chats over on YouTube and Twitch. So what we're going to do is we are going to walk down the aisle and get our GCSEs, and in a blink appear back at the front page of ohmtown.com. That's what powers everything. I just mash buttons. I don't even get paid for it. Anyway, except for your attention and time, so that's always priceless. I'm Mayor Watt, and that's the visualizer for the sentient AI.
Whoop.
That I'd be able to get.
Good night, hometown citizens.
Oh, look.
Nope.
Oh, my God. See
Thanks
y'all
for
later.
joining us for Non Sequitur News.
Cheers. Yeah, you saw that robot woman in the robot, whatever that was. run, protect yourself, save yourself. That's right. Tie your shoes.